Welcome to another episode of I'm Not Yelling, I'm Dominican podcast, hosted by Nachi and Damaris.
This is part 2 of Walking Your Spiritual Path with our lovely niece, Naomi, of Om, Body and Soul.
What about you, Naomi? Are there certain things that you like to do from keeping you in tune to feeding your spirituality?
Yes, I do breath work, right? But for me, breath work has transcended into meditation. So I would say that I meditate, but it's just that in order for me to connect deeper as a medium, as a channel, it's literally, I have to add that breathing component to it because it allows me to really go there. I do that every morning, very briefly, like literally as soon as I open my eyes. I stay right there in bed and I get at least 10, 15 minutes in. And lately what it's been for me, it's kind of playing out my whole day. Like, it's like my whole calendar, right? Of like how, but I go into the emotions of creating each event of that day, right? The big thing for me right now is I meditate in my bath. I've discovered there's so much power in water.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think we've seen it in so many different variations.
Water is a portal.
It's a portal. So I discovered that, right? So I try as best as possible. Just on top of the work that I do, I'm always in some type of bath ritual. So I'm always cleansing myself because of the nature of the work that I do. So one of the things that I take very serious is I soak in salt water. So I make sure there's Epsom salt in there. There's sea salt in there. There's bentonite clay sometimes put in there. Just like all the deep components. Sit in there and I literally soak. But while I'm in there, I'm doing breath work. And when I tell you the astral traveling that occurs when you're in water, especially salt water, is out of this world. So that's like my time machine. When I really want to get into solving something or like figuring, like, oh, let me go back to this past life real quick. I want to see what happened there. Like, I travel, so I'm a traveler. And I take that very serious. So doing that is a big component for me. I don't journal because I'm all in my head for some reason. Like, I'm very here with it. I always have like these open tabs of conversation. So I don't journal, but I understand the power of journaling because I guide all my clients through journaling and journaling prompts. I'm very much here, and I'm very much into my meditation in the water. That's how I get to connect with everything and just all the elements that I need to connect with. That's my ritual. What else would I say?
Water is really good.
It's that morning. Water is a big component for me, and just having bath rituals. So either I'm soaking in that manner, or I'm literally doing baths, right? So if I'm not soaking, I go on 9-day elevations, and where I'm cleansing myself. I just do different type of baths. Baths and water is my thing.
What would you recommend? Because I don't like taking baths, but I love showers. And so, a lot of those bath rituals, how do you translate that, or what can someone do, an alternative to that, to someone who doesn't like the whole sitting in the tub?
Well, it's funny, like while I'm taking my showers, I do a little baptism for myself. I'm rinsing away all this negativity, all this fear, anxiety.
Yeah, no,
covering myself.
I sit and let the water run. It's just so, I don't know, it's just so therapeutic when doing so.
Yeah.
I know I always feel uplifted after taking a shower.
Me too.
Even if I'm, like if I'm feeling low, it's a quick pick-me-up.
So water in itself is self-cleansing. Just even you sitting in your shower and just like letting the water run on you and just claiming, that you're cleansing yourself, that you're removing X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, right? But if you don't want to soak, the bath rituals that I recommend to everyone, even when I have readings with people and they're battling energy and they just want to feel clear, all these herbs, the reason why we go back into like our ancestors and our elders and we used to see them, that they were always making baths, right? And so for me growing up, I thought it was like, all right, for good luck, right? Because they would say like, it's for good luck. The reason why these baths work is because the herbs that are being used in these baths are charged at a very specific frequency. So everything that's made on earth has a frequency and has a charge. So then there's baths that, for example, my lineage herb is rosemary. The reason why rosemary is so powerful, cinnamon is so powerful, basil is so powerful, is because all of these herbs are charged at a certain frequency. So now, remember, we're electric beings having this human experience, right? Mm-hmm. So we have a whole entire auric field around us. So now when you take these baths, it's as simple as you wash up, take your normal bath, and then just take these baths that you make and just pouring it over your body. What you're doing is not necessarily pouring it over the physical body. You're pouring it over your auric field. So now you're charging yourself, right? We're magnetic. We're charging ourselves to a certain frequency, and that's why these baths elevate you. And that's why if you are dealing with low vibrations that are attached to you, right, entities, disembodied spirits, all that good stuff, the minute now you pour this bath on you, you're elevating your frequency, and they can't live in an elevated frequency because they're at a specific charge. Mm. So all of those things I learned. Salt is so important. The reason why salt, and you look at movies, and like just the other day I was watching Encanto, mm-hmm. and Bruno, everything was salt. It's because salt is not just, it's not like some
ingredient for seasoning.
It's not just an ingredient for seasoning. Salt has a very specific frequency to it, and that's why if there's evil spirits, let's say, or like low vibrational spirits or anything or energy around us, the reason why you can throw salt and they kind of vanish is because the charge that salt has diminishes their frequency. It's all science. So I always tell people, if you don't want to soak, I never kind of recommend people to soak because I know how much it is to do. It's like a ritual. It's a deep ritual. Yeah. I recommend people to make baths with very specific herbs depending on what they're dealing with, right? If they're removing something, that's a very, very specific herbs. If you're just trying to elevate your frequency, which I think elevating your frequency, bath rituals should be a common thing for everyone on a regular basis. Like you shouldn't have to go through things. Or, oh, I'm depressed, or I'm sad, or I think I have something on me. You don't have to wait for that. Right. We are supposed to cleanse weekly, or have like a ritual on a regular basis where you're like, okay, the last 3 days of the month I'm doing a bath, right? Like just, it's kind of like tuning your aura, but because we don't know ourselves as far as energy, no one is teaching us how to treat ourselves as an energetic vessel. They're teaching us how to treat ourselves as mass, as a physical being in itself, right? As organs, right? So that's why I think there's so much illnesses, so much ailments, so much emotional instability, because we're not taking care of ourselves from what we really are. We have chakras. Yeah. Notice how you go to the doctor, they even ignore that you have chakras. Yeah. Like it's just all about these isolated situations and isolated issues with your organs. But why don't we take care of ourselves as far as the chakra system that we are?
I mean, your medical doctor they don't even talk to you about what you eat.
Yeah, the nutrition isn't even...
Food is your medicine, your daily medicine. You cannot survive without food and water. So why isn't that even taken into consideration when you go to your medical doctor? This is why I go, we have a family holistic doctor. I love her. Yes, she must be protected at all costs because she cares about health. Health is wealth. She does not want you to be sick in order for you to continue seeing her. And again, this all, to me, is all about your spiritual well-being, your spiritual health. And part of that is what you put into your body, which includes the food, right? And you talk about these herbs and everything have certain frequencies. Can you imagine when you ingest certain foods when they're straight up chemicals? Mm-hmm. When you don't even know, you can't even pronounce the ingredients because they're not whole foods?
Non-food foods.
Make it make sense. But, I think I talk about this probably in almost every episode because the thing about food and treating your body as a temple is such a big deal to me. And I don't just put anything into my body. And this is why it's like, it's funny to me how people are just like quick to just like, oh, just give me that one shot of thing and it'll help cure my life. No, it won't.
Right.
I don't know. Start with what you put in your food, what you put in your mouth every day.
Yeah, it puts a Band-Aid on whatever symptom you're experiencing and creates other symptoms that they're going to now have to prescribe something else to take care of that. It's a deadly cycle.
It's funny that we're talking about that because in the work that I do now, my guide, she's an herbalist, so she's so big. Like when I'm doing readings for people or just even in the shadow work that I do, she always brings up things that she sees in the body. So if she sees any type of physical mass, she's told people about tumors and fibroids and cysts. She's able to tell you. And she explains to people exactly what we're talking about. And she calls it human medicine. She goes, human medicine, they don't know, they don't understand that everything is energy. So a lot of the work that I've been seeing with my clients is her helping them understand that whatever it is that this diagnosis is, right? Like she says, whatever it is that these humans told you with their analogy, it's really energy first, right? So like having stomach issues, having gastritis, having whatever it is. I could give you a list of so many things that have came up for different clients. She brings it all the way back to how that's a suppressed emotion. Every illness is truly, every illness really starts as a suppressed emotion. Hence why we have to do the work. Hence why we have to heal. Hence why we have to do shadow work. Because what you're doing with shadow work is you're releasing, right? Energy is not destroyable, it's transferable, right? She said something yesterday to one of my clients, and I was just like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to get my notebook because it was so, but basically she said, like, what you suppress becomes a disease. Like, energy is not destroyable, it's transferable. So something as simple as not voicing how you feel, right? Something as simple as something caused so much emotional pain in you, anger, and now you're walking around not talking about it, or not even the person that caused it to you, not even sitting there and saying, I hate you!
Right, yeah.
And screaming it. The fact that you really feel that way and you're suppressing it, that's where the disease starts.
It manifests in other ways and places in your life.
Because it's energy. Think about it. Emotions are energy. So where you're not speaking out, where you're not voicing, guess where it goes? You're storing it. So it's like you're a ticking bomb. You have this. It's the worst thing you can do to yourself.
Yeah.
And the sooner we understand that what runs our illnesses, aside from the part that they're already feeding us all this, all these things that heightens the situation. Right. But then imagine now we're not emotionally intelligent, so now we're carrying all these suppressed emotions from when you were 7, a memory when you were 12, a memory when you were 25, and it's all accumulated there, and now we're feeding toxins and food, and like, does the body really have a chance?
Yeah, it's so funny because nowadays, whenever I feel off, in terms of like, if I have a pain or something hurts me, I don't think about like, did I hit myself, or is that so? I always think about like, what's going on in my life that's causing this, which is so crazy.
Right.
I'm like, why do I have this shoulder pain? What's going on? What's weighing me down? That's how I go through my little process in my head.
Let me give you a story of one of my clients. I can't wait to start talking about, because right now I'm just working so much that I don't share, right? I'll give you one story that has been like testimony for me. I have a client. She's about to finish. She joined my 7-week, because now it's 7 weeks, my shadow work program. When we started, she came for shadow work, but she had an entity attached to her. And I could see it. Like I could tell when somebody has like an attachment. And what this entity was causing her was she stopped getting her period. So she didn't have her period for 2 years. She was dealing with a lot of hot flashes, a lot of, like, she'll wake up in the middle of the night sweating, all of that, right? I knew already that was an entity attachment, because people don't even understand that a lot of people are ill and it's really an entity attachment. And they all operate very differently, right? So for her, she was going through all of that. By week 5, we removed it, which came with a lot of like somatic guided meditations, breath work, bath rituals, and just real energy work, right? That I'm able to do and help you release that. Once she got rid of that entity, no more hot flashes. She just got her period last week.
Wow.
Like, she wrote to me, she goes, I got my period. I can't believe this. She has been going to the doctors. The doctors have been diagnosing her with, she's 28 years old, and they were diagnosing her with premenopause, like some kind of premenopause situation, giving her estrogen, giving her these patches, pills, all of this. And, I was able to explain to her that all of this is, and then because she was going through all of this and she had this entity, they usually, for us women, or really, really dark entities, they attach to your lower chakras. That's kind of like the steering wheel, right? That's how they can really run you.
The root and sacral.
It was very stagnant there, the sacral and the root, right? So Maria's explaining to her, when you go to the doctor, they're telling you that you're not producing certain hormones because you need to understand that they don't know, right? You come with the problem. Now they try to find a name for the problem.
Right.
They don't know what the problem is.
No,
They didn't make it up. You're just coming with the problem. So now they're trying to dissect, but because they don't understand energy and that the vessel is an energetic vessel,
right.
They're busy looking at the organs and all this other bullshit.
Right.
That they don't realize, like, well, yeah,
well, they
it
always
might be
look
a
at the
hormone
symptoms.
issue.
They look at the symptoms or the root cause of things.
And it's like, yeah, it could be hormonal, 100%. But what caused that hormonal imbalance, right? There's a stagnancy. There's an energetic stagnancy. And when we went to work and she got rid of all of that, like, everything changed. Her face has changed. Her cheeks are like red. They're glossy. She's not waking up in the middle of the night sweating. She's not having panic attacks, because once she starts having the sweat attacks, then she goes into panic attack. Think about someone going through that for 2 years and she's young. And doctors are telling her, you're infertile, you have menopause. So this just goes to show how everything is energy. And going back to what you said, Nachi, like, what did I do? Mm-hmm. Why? Everything, you should analyze everything that way, because for the most part, everything is energy. Right. For the most part, everything is truly energy. And it's just pinpointing, all right, where did I pick this up from? Okay, I've been chilling with so-and-so for X amount of time. Mm-hmm. Ever since then, I have these severe headaches. Mm-hmm. People don't want to face that it's that simple, you know?
No. Right. It's who you surround yourself with. I mean, it's, again, I don't go to certain places or I'm not around certain people because I don't like the energy that they bring, or I don't like how I feel around them. Mm-hmm. And I have to respect that and follow that in myself so that I don't get attached to certain things. Like, I don't need to, because I remember there used to be a couple of women that I used to work with, and they were just always like more on the depressed side of things. And I had to limit how much I engaged with them, because I'm like, y'all are some Debbie Downers. Mm-hmm. And you're bringing me down, and I'm not a down person. And that's just a general principle, with anyone, because that, if you keep surrounding yourself around that kind of energy, that's going to affect you. There's no way that it doesn't. So then that means you have to protect yourself. And that also means you have to remove yourself from those environments or those people that make you feel away. So to your point, Nachi, you're like, okay, I feel this way, or something's hurting me. What am I doing, or what am I engaging with that's kind of, that could be contributing to this? And it's so simple, but at the same time, we're so conditioned in the society that it's like, no, it's very black or white. So if you cannot articulate it or, touch it, then it's not a real thing. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, not everything a doctor needs to assess, right?
Right.
It's just, I
it's about being introspective.
Yes, I think about, Mommy in particular, when she talks about all this pain that she's going through. And it's funny because, we do all
Don't get me started.
I know. You're the worst.
That pain body.
Yeah, you
that baggage. I'm like, get rid of that emotional baggage, Mommy.
You always want to tell her, release that emotional baggage. And I know she must be like, what the hell is she talking about?
She rolls her eyes. She's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. You're crazy.
I always have to, like, I listen to what she says to me. Like, recently, she's talking about her shoulders hurting a little bit more now. And she's been getting these headaches, right? And I'm like, you've taken, an Aleve for the headache. You still having this headache. I'm not going to keep giving you this Aleve because that's not good. But I don't understand why you getting this headache. So I decided, I was like, let me cover her head. Cover her head. I gave her some, what's the tea? It's a linden tea. It's also known as Stilo tea. Mm-hmm. That has helped with.
And she used to always drink that with coffee.
Yeah, so she's, she hasn't been complaining about the headaches, but she literally was talking about this headache almost on a daily basis,
For a week.
Right. And I know it's related to, it's emotional because, she just lost her sister, who was her best friend. she still, in a sense, is grieving over her
Oh yeah.
husband that she lost 2 years ago. So it's, it's almost like people closest to her are dying. And so I just knew it was emotional. So I try to do things like turn on the diffuser, put some rosemary and lavender, just to help ease that
From an
stress, that
aromatherapy.
emotional stress that she's having. We've been giving her this homeopathic medicine to help with the stress as well. So a combination of all of that has been helpful to her, you know. But again, and not to say that, oh, you shouldn't take and leave. Yes, take it when it's necessary. But when you say that your issue still continues on and you're taking these medications over especially over the counter and it's not doing anything, let's dig in a little bit deeper and figure out, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's really going on, you
Yeah,
know?
it's not a physical ailment.
No, it's not. It's always like it's all these other factors in your life that builds up in your body in certain places in your body. Like for me, when I get stressed, I do get a pain in the back of my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It is guaranteed. I will get this almost a knot on the back of my shoulder, like right on the back, and it's due to stress. So I have to do things to kind of alleviate that. But other people, they would either ignore it or let it get worse with other things, and it's just a
No
snowball
one
effect.
truly associates pain to emotion.
Mm-mm.
No one truly associates just any type of physical ailment to like even emotions. And cancer is a super suppressed emotion.
Yeah.
You know that? Depending on where that's suppressed, I've had people that they deal with heavy guilt and it has turned into stomach cancer, colon cancer. Because it's the emotion attached to it's a suppressed emotion,
Right.
depending on what emotion.
I mean,
that
the science attached to cancer, they say something like 80% of it is caused environmentally, but your environment could be you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's all environmental, but at the same time, like that includes yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, people need to consider that. I think one of the best things that we did after your father passed, after our father passed away, was with Naomi when we did the breath work.
Oh yeah.
And that first time doing that kind of breathing exercise, I my body cramped up in a way
Yeah.
that felt so alien. But I mean, but through that breathwork exercise, it was a releasing of so many different emotions. I think you, I don't know if you remember, Naomi, but I think I remember laughing. I know I definitely cried. And this is all while I'm doing this breathing exercise. And I felt like my arms were like, oh
Yeah,
my God, they were like paralyzed.
mine too. I
And,
was like, what's going on?
and I know people may be like, oh my God, I'm never going to do breath work if
No.
it's that. But
No, but it's good.
it's also because we've not done anything like that. And we're talking about decades of not releasing certain uh, baggage, emotional baggage that we didn't even know our body was holding, and the memory of our muscles, our blood, and all of that. And so doing that for we did it for what, 15, 20 minutes? I mean, it was just, I
I
felt
think
drained afterwards, but in the best way.
wasn't it longer?
It
I
might have
felt
been
like
shorter, right?
it was longer, right?
It was about like 30 to
Yeah,
45
it was
minutes. So
longer.
the reason why you went through all of that is because it's the first time that you actually put your body into a release, like you said.
Right.
So it's all of those years from the minute you were born all the way till now. Yes, all these emotions and all these things that you don't even think are just holding weight and creating density in your body. Now you're putting yourself in a space of releasing it. And just think about all the people that will never do breath work.
Yeah.
I know.
And that are going to transition with that weight, and that, or forget transitioning, that are eventually really going to get sick, and maybe they could have avoided such diagnosis if they would have healed, right?
Right.
People think that healing is just, oh, I don't need to heal, I'm a good person. No. Healing is so much more than just mental stability. It's literally mind, body, and soul. If you heal, you're saving yourself from dis-ease, right?
Yeah.
And that's where
Not dis-ease. No, that
Diverse.
I still laugh to this day. Like literally, it was a month ago when I realized, oh, all y'all
Ridiculous.
spiritual healers and workers, when y'all say dis-ease about disease is being not at ease. No, it
Damaris
was
was
mind
so
blowing.
off. She was just like,
I was like, wow,
now
wow.
I get it. But it's the
Like,
pain bodies, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
and I know that, right, as the pain body is like that
Hmm.
baggage, and yes, I knew it can manifest itself into physical
Yeah.
ailments, but I actually jumped into breath work, but I actually should ask Naomi to describe what breath work is, because I think for a lot of people, they're probably not familiar with it, because I knew we weren't when you presented that to us, that this is some new work that you were doing, and it was really exciting, this idea of like, oh, um, these breathing techniques that could really help your emotional stability. But please.
so you want to know like what it is or how I got into it or both.
Well, kind of both, but first describing what is breath work, I think, for people to understand.
So breathwork is technically diaphragmatic breathing. The real name for it is holotropic breathwork. So it is a very powerful breathing modality in where you're breathing into your diaphragm, but what we don't know is that we create a couple of things that our body just does if we consciously breathe. So we create DMT. So people take mushrooms and all of these things because they're trying to take these trips, but we create it, we release it. And the reason we do so is for our own healing. The body, this machine that we're in, is meant to auto heal. Somewhere down the line, they disconnected us from that information. We are just the same as plants, right? We're literally designed to heal, to shake things off, but they've kept us very stagnant with that, right? So we don't know that you can just literally even move your body and release things that eventually might get you ill. So the reason why breath work is so powerful is because in the midst of this breathing, you're releasing 70% of toxins, because your lungs is actually the organ that can release the most toxins, and you do it through conscious breathing. You're releasing DMT. DMT is what allows you to, go into this multidimensional experience. The body just knows what it needs to do. And you're reprogramming your neural pathways, which is the most powerful thing. Experts are starting to say that breath work is like 20 years of therapy without saying a word. Mm-hmm. And that is because you don't have to say a word. You're literally, this form of breathing is so powerful that you're reprogramming your nervous system. So all of our issues are in the tissues, literally. So when we don't do breath work, we're just programmed, right? As per our experiences, as per our emotions that we have stored, all of that good stuff, we're programmed to, well, every time I go through here, I'm going to avoid this path because a dog pops out, right? Now you do breath work, and now you have other ways of avoiding that dog, because now it's like you rebooted that system, and where if we don't reboot it, we're just stuck in the same pattern, because what makes our patterns and the way we navigate life is our experiences and the emotions that we're each individually dealing with. So breathwork is an extremely powerful breathing modality. It's not a matter of believing. The first thing I tell people, this is not like a belief system. It's not like, oh, I don't believe in breathwork. No. If you are here and you are alive and you are identified in your human body, your body is just designed to do it. It is science. I teach people how to breathe. It's a trilogy. It's 2 breaths in, 1 breath out. You're not doing nothing out of this world. It's not even a complex form of breathing. But once you activate that breathing in your body works wonders for you. After a breathwork session, you feel lighter. It's like a feeling of bliss. You feel like you feel ready. You feel you have clarity. Sometimes you feel heavy before breathwork, and once you do breathwork, you feel lighter than ever. Because you actually have removed a lot of energy. Not only that, this boosts your immunity. So one of the reasons I recommend people to do breathwork and just engage it into your life is it's not only about the spiritual, the mental component. You are literally working against all the bullshit that we're consistently taking in that's meant to keep us ill, right? And we just have to continuously have a system in place and where we're removing all these toxins, we're removing all the stagnancy, all the emotions. So it is an extremely powerful breathing modality that boosts the immunity, that heals the body, mind, body, and soul, and it has been game-changing for me. How I got into it? I got into breathwork because I was battling energy. I didn't feel well for like 2 years. I used to call it anxiety. Lo and behold, it was really an entity attachment that I was dealing with that was eating me alive, and it was very heavy. I used to feel this weight on my left side for 2 years, and I used to just sit with it, right, and kind of like just deal with it. Because when I used to kind of talk about it, I realized that people didn't understand like that. I think I went one time to the doctor and I told them I was battling anxiety and depression, and they just like sent me to like a therapist, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm just like in the back of my mind, like, yeah, that's great. What the hell is she gonna do for me? Like, I'm just gonna talk to her. Like, I know that this is something I need somebody like to touch me or something, you know?
Bring it out of her,
yeah. Like I knew, but I didn't fully know that it was energy until I started realizing that I could control it mentally. That's when I started realizing that I would last 3 to 4 days and I wouldn't feel these symptoms. And then just a lot of things. Like I didn't have an appetite for a while. I got very, very skinny. Like it wasn't, like the skeletal kind of, like it was
not healthy looking skinny. Right?
No. My face was dark. I didn't have like brightness on my cheeks. It was just not myself. Then I started realizing like, something's up. And I was led to breathwork. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I know that it was spirit induced. And it was my ancestors and everything that's with me that was guiding me. It was like, all right, enough is enough. You passed the test. You sat with this shit for 2 years. We're going to take you. It's now time for the next level. And I ended up in Utah just because I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm going to get certified to be a breathwork facilitator. But I saw it in my mind as a spiritual retreat. Right. And the money just flowed in for me to do that. Like, that whole trip was like $5,000. And it just came in. Like, I was just supposed to go. And I just got on that plane. It was like almost like I was in a trance. And I got there, and it was my first session when I got to Utah that I released that energy. And then I also found out that I was a medium because I connected with, like, my friend. And I'm like, okay, like, I just spoke to one of my best friends that passed. He passed next to me. And we had, like, a whole we had closure. But he took that away. I remember he said, like, I fight for you. And I did all of that through breath work. That's not to say that everyone is going to, because I like to tell people that, because people get scared. It's not that you're going to do breath work and talk to people.
You're going to do breath work and then you're going to be a medium. I don't want to be a psychic.
No, it's
just not part of your journey.
Yeah, it was just a part of my journey. But then I got up from that session and I said, hell yeah, I'm going to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. I had other things going on.
Right.
Yeah, but when I get up from this and I'm like, oh shit, everything really is energy. I'm like, you know how many people I know back where I'm from in the Bronx that are claiming and screaming anxiety and depression, and I just felt like I tapped into a secret. And I felt like God was going to punish me if I decided to come back to the States, to come back here to the East Coast where I'm from, and just heal myself and just keep walking.
Wait, I love it that you said back to the States like Utah's not a state. You're like, that's not a country. Like, so when it went back to reality.
When I came back over here,
Utah's not real.
Yeah,
that's not how it looks like in the Bronx.
Yeah. When I came back to this shit, I said, how can I walk around after I know that I had a silent war for 2 years that almost took me the fuck out?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
It's just that, thank God, I never had suicidal thoughts and things of that nature, right? But there's people that can't handle it, right?
Yeah, no.
They just go, right? So I'm like, people are having these secret battles. People would have never thought in a million years that I was having that battle. If anything, probably people thought I was using drugs before they would think that, oh, Naomi's going through something. Yeah. So I'm like, you know how many people are just quiet and they're just, I'm conscious. I have an awareness that I know most people don't have. So just imagine lacking even the awareness, how dark of a world that can be for people, right? So I said, hell yeah, I have to be a teacher. There's no way that I can come back healed now, remove this whole energy, and just watch the whole world just scream anxiety and depression. When I know, like, dude, anxiety and depression is just the terminology that doctors are putting on this shit. It's energy. So that's what started my journey of deciding to be a breathwork facilitator. And I still am, but now it's just a tool in my kit. It's not, at first I was just like a breathwork facilitator, and now it's just like, no, this is just one of the things that I can add for everything else. That it's part of my kit, if that makes sense.
It's a tool.
So I include it. It's a tool. So I include it in the things that I do with my clients, but it's not, I'm not there anymore where I'm just doing breath work.
Only breath work. But what have you seen as like the clear benefits of doing breath work?
Boosting your immunity, just really tapping into a healthier version of yourself. And to me, the way I see it is keeping yourself at bay, right? Like, we're under attack. It's a spiritual war, and it's also a war on the things that we're eating. America is the unsafest place to be at, honestly. So it's really incorporating a regime in your life and where you're counter-reacting to all that's being worked on against you. So I feel like it's a disservice when people like I try to bring breathwork to people, and there's a conscious level, right? You have to have a certain awareness and a consciousness
You have to be
embrace
ready for
it. And to embrace it and even say, all right, this is something that I need to be doing every day, right? And I try to create that awareness for people, but everybody's journey is different, right? Everybody signed up to learn and transition in this reincarnation differently. But my recommendation, you're supposed to be doing breathwork every single day. You're breathing every day to survive, right? You should be incorporating 10 to 15 minutes of breathwork a day. It's not about the mental or the spiritual. It's about you are releasing 70% of toxins every time you do it. Why would you not want to do that when we're living in a space and where even the fruits and the vegetables that are supposed to be healthy, they're genetically modified. We need to be. So that's how I see it. I think it's our cheat code, right? And if you don't use it, it's like, sorry.
Right. So then how would you recommend someone go about breath work? If it's something that has to be done daily, how would you go? Like, what's the simplest way for someone to get started with that?
Treat it like a meditation. Wake up every morning, 10, 15 minutes. That's all you need. The more
Any
you
kind of
do
specific way to breathe?
Well, I recommend the breathwork. There's so many different breathwork modalities, right? I stand on one, and I've tried Wim Hof, I've tried Breath of Fire, all these great things, but I'm going to stick to the one that I do. I think is the most powerful out of all of them. It's more transcending on so many levels for the physical body. So I recommend people to do it 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's all you need. Yeah. You could do 10 to 15 minutes before you go to sleep as well. Go ahead. See it as like...
What's the modality called that you use?
It's called holotropic breathwork.
Okay.
So you can literally... There's a book called Holotropic Breathwork. I want to get it because it's important for people to know the name.
I've done Breath of Fire, and it's very uncomfortable.
We did that with the Brujas one time, right?
What's that?
I think we did that with the Brujas once, right?
Yes,
yes.
It's a Kundalini yoga. Okay,
this book right here gives you... They're married. This is by Stanislav Grof and Christina Grof. The government took this book out.
Really?
The shelf for years. They've been wrote this book. They were practicing it. I'll just show you some pictures that it even has that I'm like...
Let me spell it out for the people. So it's holotropic breathwork, spelled HOLOTROPIC. Breathwork.
These were some of the drawings that people were making after they had like a trip.
Wow.
A breathwork trip.
Oh, I gotta get that book.
Wow.
And these people have been studying breathwork since the 1980s, I think, but the government continued to suppress it. And they did a lot of studies on why we need this. And, they predicted all the things that we would have avoided as far as illnesses. And they went through a lot. Mm-hmm. The book is back in the market now freely because they fought. And this is a husband and a wife. Mm. And they're not even from here. They're like
always
Russian.
At work.
So, what about children? Is this something that children can do? Do you recommend that?
So, when I went to my training, he used to say, 12 years or older. But the other day I had an event, and a father brought both his daughters. One of them was 9, and the other one was, 11. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you these kids had a trip.
Really?
But, beautiful at that, because it's different, right? Your conscious level as a child is different. Yes. And they got up and they're like, that was so cool. And think about it, they don't have as much trauma as waiting, right, when you're older. Right. So it really is a deep understanding experience. I think that, so now experiencing that, it allows kids need to start this early, because what it does is that it creates a grounding in them that had we had that grounding early, we would have navigated life differently, right? And it's making them aware of self in a way that you don't have to wait to be older to become aware of self. So my whole mindset on children doing it has changed, right?
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like it's up to the parent to kind of see how they know their children best to see what they can handle. And this father clearly felt comfortable that he's like, my girls could benefit from something like this. And so that makes sense what you're saying.
And then for me, for example, my son hasn't done breath work. He's 10. I'm not ready for him to do breath work. That's fair. Even at 12. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's just because I know he has gifts. And do I want him to, I know what comes with this world, right? You have to know which one is your voice, which one is, what are intrusive thoughts. And it's just I don't know if I'm ready to open that Pandora's box for him yet. Like, I know what it did for me the first session. I went into speaking to people that passed. Like, not saying that that's what's going to happen to him, right?
Right.
But if that is an option on the table, if he does it now, I'm not ready to guide him through that yet. And I don't want him to experience, I still want him to continue navigating life as the child that he is with the consciousness that he does.
Yeah.
And just see, because he sees everything that I do. And he sees me channeling and all of that stuff. So, like, he's very, this is like normal to him, right? Like, to have a mom that, you know, 1 second this is my voice, and then the next second I'm channeling our ancestors, right? Yeah, so to him it's very normal, but I'm not ready for him to start his gifts yet. I want him to still be identified in his human experience still for a little bit more. So
okay, no, that's fair, but I think it's good to for parents to consider that, and obviously it's a case by case and it's an individual decision, so that makes a whole lot of sense. I think probably my niece could probably work with that, some breath work. I'm gonna get that book.
No, you're talking about Madeline.
That book is going to give you a lot of information. I think I learned a lot more in that book than the actual training itself.
Right.
Because the training was more catered around making this a business, and he gave a lot of great information. But the book, it allows you to understand what exactly is happening to the physical body, to the mind, you know, to the soul while you're embarking in this type of breathing modality. And it allows you to understand, like, oh, okay, this is what's happening to the brain on the right side when I'm breathing in this manner. And I think that information is very important because it's just allowing us to understand us, right? How this machine then you realize, like, okay, so this is a body, but it's really a machine.
Right.
We're like machines, literally. Right. It's just we're so out of whack with what we are that we don't believe that we're magical, right? We don't even understand.
Yeah.
We also don't understand that we're actually a lot more than this, and that we're like in jail, and that our gifts and powers like are very limited. It's like turned off. We're offline.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep.
Because we've limited ourselves, and that's simply
not only. I think it's been induced, right, by the people that really run all of this. They know we're under a spell on a daily basis. We're programmed. They know that we're
conditioned to think a certain way.
Yeah, that we're programmable. We just are. They could program us in any way. So that's what the TVs do. That's what the colors that they put on ads. All of this thing. Your cell phone. We all think that it's just like, oh yeah, McDonald's is just red because it's red. No.
Yeah. No,
they know that we're machines. Yeah. So think about, we don't know this about ourselves, but the people that run this know this about us. So that's why we're programmed, right? Like we're in literally, and I never wanted to be one of these people. I never thought that I would speak like this. But when you know, you just know, and you can't undo it. Yeah. We're living in a matrix, and it's very few people that are out the matrix.
Conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, and then it's like, I remember I used to be like, these people are crazy, but it's like, no, it's not a conspiracy. It's a real thing. It's just that the masses, they're not aware. And they just think they're humans, whatever that is to people, right? Like, no, we're machines. We're like, we're very special creatures.
I mean, we're living batteries, and not to reference just the Matrix, but the reality is, yes, we produce and provide energy. We give off energy, so we are a battery. Like, that's just a fact. That's not even trying to be anything, weird about that. It's just truth. But I think this is great. I think what it sounds to me is like, the bottom line, especially with breath work, is that, yes, this is something we should all be doing, regardless of what you align with from a spiritual perspective. It's not even just about that. It's just physically, this is a way to release toxins and to be healthy physically and spiritually, mentally, emotionally. It impacts all of those areas of your life. And I kind of want to close this out with just letting our listeners know kind of where they could find you, Naomi, because I think this is, we're lucky because we're related, but you provide a service to the community and to people who need this and who are ready to receive this. And so I'm really excited about that for you and for us and for our listeners to have access to that. If you can share where people can find you, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so a little of what I do. I am a breath facilitator, so I do facilitate one-on-one sessions if you're interested in doing breath work. I also have events, like virtual events. I have physical events. I haven't had many lately because I've been so stuck on my shadow work. The main thing that I do right now is that I run shadow work programs. My programs are 7 weeks. A lot happens in these programs. We do cut cording. We do ending of soul contracts. We do past life regression. We undo memories. We address the inner child. We address your shadow identification, when it started, what age plays a role, who are the triggers. And it's just undoing all these different layers of yourself to lead you to healing. And in that, a lot of guided meditation is a part of it. Breathwork is a very important tool that I use within this as well. And journaling. We do a lot of journaling. So there's a lot of journaling prompts. Damaris actually did the shadow work course, but that's when I started, and it was only 4 weeks. It's 7 weeks now because there's so much more that needs to be done for like the.
But I didn't need all that to be done, so that's why 4 weeks is great for me.
Yeah, you didn't.
Because I'm emotionally pretty stable. Wow. But thank you. It was great.
Yep, it was great. So now I continuously, about every 2 to 3 months, I have a new program. Right now, my December program just finished. I have a new program starting February 20th, and I'm already taking people for my April program, and where I only have 3 seats left, which is great, right? So that's a lot of what I do, and it's extremely transformational. People come out of this after just the first 2 to 3 weeks. They're just like, they took a lot off of them, right? They addressed things that were painful that they probably were never willing to address or were not aware of, and they had it stored in their subconscious mind. And I would say the best way to find me is on Instagram. Everyone finds me on Instagram. It's just like one person tells the next person, even if you don't have me on Instagram, it's like the base, right? There's a lot of information there. I have a shadow work tab highlight that has so much information. I have a breathwork highlight that has so much information. I also do readings. My readings are different, right? I like to tell people they're different because they're healing, right? So they're called clarity readings. So it's about giving you the clarity that you need. So whatever needs to come up will come up. An ancestor that's with you will come up. A loved one that passed will come up. Anything that's going on with your body, your mental state, all of that will come up, and clarity will be given to you, right? Like, hey, that pain in that right leg, that's energy. This, hey, you have 2 cysts in your left ovary. Go check that out. It's she. My guide, her name is Maria. She's an herbalist. She's a healer. She's an elder. So she's very vested in kind of giving readings and where you become aware of where the healing and where you need to kind of tune up, right? So she addresses your emotional state, right? Hey, there's a lot of anger in you. That anger is coming from because you're mad at your father. Did you know that? Right? So it's that type of reading, right? And I think through the reading, I've also been able to then have people turn that into their shadow work, right? Because now they had a reading, now they become aware of what's holding them back. Now they're ready to dive into that 7-week program because they got the clarity from the reading. So I think the best way you can find me is on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Queen Omi. It's QUEEN.OMIII. It's 3 I's. You can also go on my website. There's a whole bunch of information on my website of just everything that I spoke about today, along with products. I sell hair growth products, in which I sell a lot of hair growth oils. They work tremendously. They grow your hair in 3 weeks. You start seeing the changes and the growth in your hair. So all of this is on ownbodyandsoul.com, and you can gain a lot of shadow work information there, breath work information, and Own Body and Soul is OMBODYANDSOUL.com. So I think those 2 platforms are the best forms of reaching me, of just getting all the information that you might need. And those 2 platforms also provide my email. So everything is there.
And you still do individual shadow work too, right? Along with your 7-week program.
Yep. Because there's people that don't want to be a part of the program. Some people just want to do it on their own. I personally recommend the program, and I'll tell you why. With the program, it's 7 weeks, but you're having 14 sessions. Because you have your one-on-one session, and then you have that group session. So what happens in the group is shorter. It's a shorter session, but this is where the breath work is taking place. This is where certain big, group guided meditations take place. And then you have your one-on-one that's only focused on you, on what you need to work through. So the one-on-one sessions are 2 to 2 hours and a half, right? That group session might be an hour and a half. But now if you only do one-on-one, we're bottling all of that together. And you're not having as much breath work, right? If you do the program, you have 7 weeks straight that you're doing breath work. But now if we're doing one-on-one, I have to kind of throw breath work in there. Out of the 7 sessions, maybe 3 or 4 of them. But then that might happen after we just went in for 2 hours or 2 hours and a half of just energy work and that work, and now you're going to breathe. Not saying that it's not doable. It's 100% doable. I do it all the time, but I personally think that everyone gets more out of all that is offered in the program when you actually join the program because you still get your one-on-one.
Right.
It's not like you're healing in front of people.
Right.
So I think, and you have community. You're dealing with other women and like-minded people that are battling their own things, and then you start realizing, like, okay, I'm not the only one. So
right, you're not alone in this.
And it does a lot, yeah. So I always recommend the program. It's more work for me, but I'm down for more work for me because I see the difference. So
absolutely,
it feels good to see the transformation happening and to see that it's positively benefiting people.
And people just step into their power, right?
Yes.
That they realize, like, oh, yeah, I got molested, which is a very common thing, by the way. That's one of the things I've realized doing this work. Right. A lot of people get molested. It's unbelievable. And it's like, yeah, I got molested at 12 years old, but that's it. I'm done. Like, that shit doesn't define me. This is who I am now. I am free in my sexuality. I don't feel suppressed in expressing who I am sexually. And all it took was that shadow work to remove that wound that inner child in you was carrying, because a lot of us are just wounded wounded children. Yeah. So it's deep work, but it's removing layers of yourself. It's the layers
it's rewarding.
That needs to be removed, and it's rewarding. Yes. And I'm happy to do this work.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much, Naomi.
Yeah.
Yes. No, we're blessed that you're doing it. For us personally. You're our little personal breath work teacher and shadow worker. So I'm like, yes, I have access to that. And then
we talk to Grandpa here and there. Right.
And it's also great.
Grandpa was the first person I channeled, like, actively. I told you this, right?
Yeah, you did.
It was like the best way. Like, thank you, everyone up there. Like, that was the best way to introduce me to channeling as someone that has crossed over. And he was the best example because his spirit, his energy is just so... After that, I've channeled a whole bunch of other spirits, and I could see the difference. And this is why I always tell you, like, he is an elevated soul. Like, because I've channeled people that once they come on, I'm like...
You're real heavy, yeah.
Or like I'm talking, and it's like my tongue, it could barely lift because they're so heavy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I channel Grandpa, and it's like a ball, like a frisbee, just flying. Like, he's so light.
Yeah.
So that, I'm very grateful that he was like my opening door of that experience, for sure.
No, that's awesome. I mean, this has been a fantastic conversation, and obviously this is not going to be our last. And again, Nachi and I, we're grateful to our listeners and grateful to Naomi to sit with us and talk about all this important work that we need to do individually, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And we hope that our listeners have gotten something out of this and now have access to resources and things to consider, different ways of aligning themselves with their, a higher being, and also just connecting intuitively with your own spirituality and whatever that looks like. There's no one way to go about it. So thank you all for listening, and we look forward to talking to you guys in our next episode.
Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform and sign up for our emails on our website at imnotyelling.co to get the latest update.